Well, guys, as you know, there is so much content on the internet about dating, modern dating, about men versus women, about men, about women, who's to blame for this, who's to blame for that. And I wanted to give you my take on the situation with modern mating. I really think that there are a lot of delusional people out in the world. In fact, I was talking about it with Grok AI last night, and you may say, oh, LG, don't get your facts from AI. Well, I did. So anyway, let me just tell you what AI said, what Grok said. And Grok was telling me that between both men and women, out of every 5 men or women, there's a good chance that 2 or 3 out of every 5 people at least can be completely delusional about reality, especially under 40. And what I mean by that is people who just don't understand where they fit in the world. Maybe they haven't worked on themselves enough, or they haven't healed from past problems, or they're just not a good person, they're not super kind, and they're not even really self-aware about that. And they think that they deserve such and such of a person. And there's all different levels to that, right? You can have somebody who's just absolutely terrible, and then you can have somebody who is terrible just in certain small ways. And obviously, the person who's just terrible in little ways isn't as bad as the person who's terrible all around. But there are a lot of those people out there that are just completely delusional about themselves, don't think they have any problems. And I think that there are clearly problems that afflict women more than they do men, and there's problems that afflict men more than they do women. And that's always going to be the case. And even with both men and women, there's going to be awareness problems that both men and women have, just in general, things that they need to grow from. And people are at different places at different times in their life. Someone who's 20 could be further along in their journey than someone who's 40 in terms of becoming a good person. And you can really zero in on the problems of men in general or women in general. If you focus on that too much, though, it's really going to sour you to the opposite gender. And when I was growing up, men and women, at least for my parents, really saw the sexes as completely different. Whereas now I think the new generation sees gender as more fluid, in that men can exhibit feminine traits and women can exhibit masculine traits. And I think that's really positive, because a lot of the historically masculine things for women to do were unheard of back in the day, but now it's more accepted. You can still be a feminine woman and do some masculine things in a positive light, and people accept that. I think it's a little more difficult with men. Men have a long way to come in general in terms of allowing other men that are straight to do feminine things, like care about their appearance, or to a large degree, or take pride in their appearance and like wearing things that look super sharp. A lot of guys will still look at other guys who do that and kind of razz them a little bit. I think what you really need to do, let me get to the point of this video. I think what you really need to do is look for a best friend. That's my solution to modern dating, or modern mating, the title of this video. I think you have to look for a best friend, someone that you can partner with in life, somebody that you can have fun with, somebody that wants to share stories with you, somebody that cares about what you're interested in, cares if they're stepping on your boundaries, cares that you get just as equal of a share as they do. I think the version of relationships that my parents subscribed to, the one where it's happy wife, happy life, and men just don't understand women, and women, oh, they understand men all too well, and they're so simple. I think that's just bullshit now. And all it's going to do is hold you back in life if you find an opposite sex person like that. Even if you're a woman and you find just like a guy who you can just completely control, I think you're just aligning yourself with shitty energy. And that's not going to serve you in the long run. It's not going to be good energy for you to be around, whether you realize it or not, whether there's arguments or not. Even if there's no arguments and you have zero problems with that person's not going to inspire you. And ultimately, you're missing out on the best in life, in my opinion, if you get with somebody who isn't a best friend to you. What's the trade-off? You have to look a little bit harder. I mean, do I want to be in a relationship now? Yes. Have I ended the last 2 relationships I was in? Yes. But that is because, take for example, my last relationship. I told this girl that I was hanging out with, I said, we were in a moment where we were both sharing personal stories, just kind of how, we'd gone through some things in life. And she told me her story and I listened. And then right when I opened my mouth, I said, well, I've got some things I've gone through too. She looked at me in all seriousness and said, oh yeah, white man, what problems have you had? And that was kind of the first instance that caused me to have a little bit of concern and just realize this might not be somebody who I want to hang out with, because that didn't feel really good. And if there's any indication that I'm going to have more of those experiences in any kind of regular or frequent fashion as I continue to get to know this person, then I'm going to get increasingly more and more upset, and that's not going to feel great, and it's just going to cause problems. So as a matter of fact, I did continue to have moments like that with this woman over 72 hours, and so I had to get out of there. But I'm not bashing women in this video. I'm simply saying that I think the solution to modern mating is finding a best friend. And I think it really is as simple as that. A best friend, which I think historically, that's how a lot of us have found a mate. And those people are kind of quiet because they're enjoying their life. So I don't think we see as much about that as all the people that are having problems. And maybe that's why a lot of us don't realize that that's the way to do it, or a way to do it. It's the way to do it in terms of my opinion. But when you find a best friend, that's someone who actually cares about you and wants to know your opinions, doesn't want to make you feel bad, whether you're a guy or a girl. And so really, my advice to you is find your best friend. It may take a little bit longer, but have faith. Find the places where you can go and be proactive and talk to the opposite gender, and don't settle for somebody who's got a shitty personality. In my opinion, looks are far less important than personality, because looks fade, but good vibes are forever, baby. And so with that, I'm going to conclude the video. I hope it's been interesting to watch, and I hope you have a great night. I will catch you mañana. Until then, I'm out. Peace. Love you guys.